Hello my friends, how are you? This is Sean Ferrick for Trek Culture. Well, we've been a little bit spoiled again. I feel like I've seen half the season for Star Trek Picard Season 2 at this point. That's not a complaint. I'm really looking forward to seeing how all of the various clips we've seen actually stick together in the season. So, there's another trailer. Here I am again in my lovely Trek Culture t-shirt, and I am here to take you through 10 things you missed in the Star Trek Picard Season 2 trailer. Number 10. Capture the flag, Cadet ELNOR. We see at the very beginning of the trailer what looks like an Academy graduation in, well, I'm guessing Starfleet Academy, just to go wild. But what we see, which instantly fills me with joy, is ELNOR sitting there in a Starfleet Academy uniform. Now this is brilliant because I suppose the question at the end of Season 1 is, where do we really go with ELNOR? Does he go off and join the Friendless Rangers with Seven, or does he stick with Picard through thick and thin? We see him sitting there, we know what decision he's after making, and that is to come back to Starfleet Academy. Now, on that stage, there are the flags of, assumingly, very important Federation members. Now we have the flag for Starfleet Academy itself. It's quite prominently up over everyone. Now we have the United Federation of Planets flag. We also have Bajor, which is lovely. So this means that between the end of What Will You Leave Behind and Picard Season 2, Bajor did go ahead and join the Federation. So that is a lovely thing to see. What is slightly confusing is that right beside it is the Ferengi emblem. Did Ferenginar joined the Federation? I suppose Grand Nagus Rom, this would be something that he probably would think is a good idea, so while it's a surprise, it's not an altogether unpleasant one. Over on the other side, just past where Raffi is sitting, the Klingon flag is sitting there. Now that one gives me pause. I really don't think that the Klingons would have joined the Federation. Well, quite frankly, they're big enough on their own. So maybe that means that these are not the flags of member states exclusively. Or there's gonna be some heck of a change to the Klingons going into Season 2 of Picard. Hard to tell, but it's got us wondering. Number 9. Welcome home, Commander MUSIKER. The revelation of the admonition and the acts by the Zhat Vash in Season 1 effectively vindicate Raffi. I mean, Raffi lost her job, commission, whatever way you want to call it, when she and Picard basically tried to go to bat against Starfleet to try and get them to put more effort into the Romulan belief. Didn't really work so well. Raffi loses her job. Now, there's issues with that. Why would she be fired? Why would she not just be reassigned? But however, she's been vindicated, which means, and it's wonderful to see, she is back in uniform. It is, yet again, another new uniform. Gonna be broke. But I really, really like it. It's got that side flap that goes down. It's evocative of the Monster Maroons, of Lower Decks, of the Council Generations uniforms. But it is absolutely wonderful to see her back in uniform. And also with those pips back up on the collar. We like them there. That's where we like those pips to be. Now we have Admiral Picard in similar, but with the gold trimming for an Admiral too, which also means that his commission must have been reinstated. So an awful lot must have happened between Season 1 and Season 2. And there's also, not just that, is that a cheeky Captain Rios in uniform I see there? Number 8. JURATTI'S seeing red. I wasn't able to identify on the previous trailers who the lady in red was. That's different this time around because staring straight down the camera is Agnes Jurati in that flowing red gown. I have questions. So, in one scene she is running, leaping over cop cars, which means obviously these scenes take place back in the 21st century. So that's not something we'd particularly seen Jurati do before in terms of like physical exertion. In Season 1 she's quite hesitant, and even holding a phaser was a bit, it was a bit much for her. Although she does manage to kill that Romulan because Romulan disruptors don't have stun settings. That's obviously been done away with because if you look closely at one of these moments, Jurati is striding toward the camera and it looks like Seven's got a bit of a beat down beside her. She's kind of lying against that dumpster and, quite frankly, she looks like Jurati's just after kicking 7 levels of hell out of her. I wonder, because each time we've seen Jurati in these trailers, she looks like she's got very close to the Borg Queen. Has she been infected with something that she went from mild-mannered professor to Buffy the Vampire Slayer? Number 7, the stage is set. Once we have that change over into the darker timeline, the stage that had been there for Starfleet Academy is now completely redesigned. There is only one emblem, and it seems to be of this, well, we don't know what it's called yet, whether it is a darker version of Starfleet. It doesn't seem to be the Terran Empire. I think it's another mirror universe or parallel reality. But what we do see is the Borg Queen being raised out of the daze in a containment field, chained, and there is cheers happening on the ground in front. People seem very, very happy that she has been captured. Now you have 7 sans implants standing there, like this is a presentation almost, and Picard in his quite militaristic outfit. Over this comes the discussion that they of course have moved into this parallel timeline, and we see from the reactions of 7, Raffi and Rios that it seems to be an instant change. Particularly if you look at Raffi, she looks like, what's in my hand? Where am I standing? What's going on? As if this is a momentary change from where she was to where she is. Number 6, split screen chaos. Now there's actually quite a lot they managed to get into this trailer by placing it on one half of the screen, the other half of the screen. We have lots going on. We have Rios in uniform, and then we have him, being arrested. We see Picard looking quite worried. Then we see a portrait of what seems to be kind of like a, let's say, Commandant Picard. We have worried looking faces. Then we have, quite randomly, a vending machine full of Doritos. So, there's some advertising for you there. We see a very worried looking ELNOR, and then we see Jurati walking through La Sirena with a shotgun, which I was not expecting. We get our only shot of Soji in the trailer. She seems to be raising a toast, while on the screen beside her, ELNOR is crying bitter tears. We've really not seen a lot of Soji, and I've said this before, that we've not seen a lot of her in the marketing. In fact, she is the one character, with one other exception, from season 1, who I wouldn't be holding our horses to see an awful lot of her in season 2. Bit worried about poor Soji's fate, guys. Number 5, good evening, Adam Soong. We get a name. There is it seems to be a holographic statue in the middle of San Francisco Bay of Adam Soong. I suppose it's a bit, basic, that's grand, but of course straight away, what does the Soong family do? Robotics, eugenics, bring life, blah de blah. Adam being, of Adam and Eve. It's a bit on the nose, but that means we now have a name for which Soong we're dealing with in this version. And whatever happens in the past, we mentioned before about Q giving him that blue bullet. Whether he assassinates someone and, he becomes crucially important, because it seems that obviously that holographic projection, that's in for Picard anyway, modern day 24th century. So he obviously did something to be remembered so well that he would have a holographic statue where Starfleet Academy once stood. Number 4, 7 walked so ANNIKA could march. In the marketing, we've seen that Jeri Ryan is going to be sans implants for however long in the series, and we get a split screen here of the top. You have 7 and Picard walking through possibly the corridors of a Federation starship. We do see a Starfleet officer standing behind them, and she's in her usual implants. Then, below that, she is walking sans implants on what seems to be, the hard Earth, beside the actor John Briones, who you might recognize from things like American Horror Story and American Crime Story. Is she ANNIKA in this timeline? Because if the presentation is that, we're so happy we've captured the Borg Queen, she doesn't seem to be, or at least it doesn't seem to be visually assimilated. Is she not 7 of 9 in this? Is she ANNIKA Hansen? On that, again, one of these split screen moments, we see her reacting again. We've seen this shot before, her reacting to not having her implants. But there seems to be a skull with a Borg ocular implant clamped onto it. It's a pretty gruesome image, if I'm honest. Now, it's a pretty clean skull, but it's quite a gruesome image for the trailer. I would imagine, based on the cheering that we see of the Queen in chains, and how happy the crowd seemed to have been. I mean, not that anyone's particularly pro-Borg, but this seems to be quite an anti-Borg world. So, however ANNIKA or Seven is being presented, I would also potentially want to not be wearing Borg implants in this world. Number 3, where's Zhaban? So, we've seen that there's going to be some black tie event that Rios, Picard and Laris are going to be at, where she does the MIB flashy thing, people. She's got a flashy thing, be great fun. There's another brief shot of that in this trailer where Picard seems to have collapsed on the ground. There's also then a split screen of, on the one half, you have Picard reaching very tenderly toward Laris in what looks like that's going to finish in a kiss. Does Zhaban know what's going on? We have seen absolutely none of Zhaban in any of the marketing for season 2, so I wonder if something happens to him, he disappears, therefore Laris chooses to go back in time with the crew of La Sirena, or has something else happened altogether. There's another scene where if you look closely, she is apparently must be in disguise because she has rounded ears as opposed to the pointed Romulan ears. So is she back working with the Tal Shiar in this particular timeline, or is this just another subterfuge? Hard to say. The trailer wasn't really giving very much away there. Number 2, lock and load. When Raffi goes back in time, we see, or at least to the other universe, we see her with a Federation phaser that looks like it's sort of a precursor to what would be coming in Discovery Season 3, but there's a close-up shot on it, and it seems to take inspiration, at least spiritual inspiration, from the Kelvin universe phasers, particularly in the actual grill it fires from. That's probably more of an aesthetic choice than anything else, but it was nice to see the Kelvin universe getting a little bit of love in this scene. And also, Raffi's coming after me with a gun. I surrender. I surrender. No. Number 1, Your Hand in Mine. There is a 1-second shot of Picard closing his hands in an embrace over another person's hands. Now, as soon as we saw this scene, straight away we started theorizing. Is this Sisko? Is he back? Is he in this season? It's going to be amazing. Could this be LaForge making a cameo? It doesn't look to be Guinan. I suppose it's possible, but it doesn't look to be Guinan. Quite frankly, I don't think she would ever wear that kind of colour on her jacket. So we even had Chris wondering, is that Neelix? Quite frankly, at this, it could be anyone. Definitely, this seems to be the inclusion of something we haven't seen in any of the previous marketing. And my God, how many trailers for this season are there? I wonder if it is Sisko. Screw it, it's Sisko. You heard it here first. Thanks very much for joining in. I'm sure there's probably stuff I missed, and if you reckon you spotted anything that we missed, drop it into the comments below. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Remember, you can catch us over on Twitter at Trek Culture. You can catch myself at Sean Ferrick on Twitter as well. Star Trek Picard drops March 3rd, 2022. So let's all join in. Let's all watch. It's on Amazon on all sides of the globe. And let's enjoy, let's discuss, let's do some ups and downs when it kicks in. You're all awesome. Live long and prosper. Thanks.